Two playoff teams have gotten a jump start by firing their coaches before the regular season has come to an end. First, it was the Memphis Grizzlies, and then yesterday it was the Denver Nuggets firing Michael Malone. Those two teams will be playing in the postseason. Those two teams will be playing for an NBA championship. The Phoenix Suns, more than likely, by the end of this evening, will be eliminated from playoff contention. So I ask, do the Suns need to join that club? Do the Suns need to get a head start on a coaching search? Here's why I asked that question. We said yesterday that if the Suns made a move with their head coach at the end of the season, that before anybody else joined the fray, they would be looked at as the third best job of three. Now, there are a limited number of NBA jobs, so they would find somebody extremely qualified. They would probably be able to find somebody that fits what they're looking for. They would be able to fill this vacancy if they chose to go down that rabbit hole. But they would be 3 of 3. And it is because of that I wonder if this team needs to make a move today or make a move tomorrow if this team were to, say, get blown out by the Oklahoma City Thunder at home for back-to-back nights. Because the way you can mitigate the fact that you are going to be 3 of 3 is you join the party and you can get a jump start on bringing people in for interviews by looking at prospective candidates. There are some teams in the playoffs that may, at the end of the playoffs, choose to fire their head coach and look in a different direction. You would have a jump start on them. So then you can maybe you find somebody. Maybe you find an assistant on another team that you are in love with, over the moon. This has to be my next head coach. This has to be the guy that sees through the next chapter of Suns basketball. You find that guy. If that coach is thinking that a playoff team may or may not be looking at firing their coach depending on how this round goes, you can put the ball in that coach's court. Do you want to wait? Do you want to wait for that job to potentially open, or do you want to take what is directly in front of you? Do you want to take the job offer that has actually been slid across the table for you to sign? If you wait, or if you choose to let this process completely play out before making a decision, you run the risk of being at the back of the line and not being able to pick your candidate. You're just going to have to wait for everybody else. That's why I would get a jump on this. If you want to make a coaching decision, I'd make it tomorrow.
If you're going to make a coaching decision, do it as fast as possible, right? You allow yourself to beat these other teams to beat Memphis, to beat Denver to the table, and start interviewing guys immediately. And as soon as you want to get your offer out, get it out there. Because it puts the power in your hands. It allows you to give hey, we need an answer by then. And then you're going to wait for Denver to get out of the playoffs, or you're going to wait for Memphis to get out of the playoffs to interview with them. Why wouldn't you just take the offer that's right in front of you?
And again, I just don't know where the Suns are at here. I don't know. I don't have a good read on this. Coach Bud doesn't look like a guy that feels like he's coaching for his job. Coach Bud doesn't give off the vibe of somebody who thinks his future is in doubt. I don't know, though. I don't know what the Suns truly want to do. I think they are petrified of the idea of 4 coaches in 4 years. And I think that is the only thing that is going to keep them from making this change. But I don't know how you can watch the way this season has played out and evaluate truthfully. Put to the side for just a second that it would be 4 coaches in 4 years. Forget that is even a thing. Evaluate the job Coach Bud has done this season. Nobody can sit across from me. Nobody can call in at 480-864-1060. Nobody can throw a comment in the YouTube live stream that is a good argument for keeping Coach Bud, other than, well, you don't want to have 4 coaches in 4 years. That is it. That is the only argument. The resume. Not what he did in Milwaukee, not what he's done at every other stop. The resume, the body of work of this season in Phoenix is one of a complete disaster. We spent the entire month of January discussing why there were not lineup changes being made. Why it took so long for Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro to draw into this rotation, and in Dunn's case, draw into the starting lineup. We wondered for a really long time why this team was not making a change at point guard when it was clear that they needed to make a change at point guard. That is on the coaching staff. That is on the head coach. Those issues that we saw all season long are on the coach. The rotation is on the coach. Ryan Dunn going through a stretch where he wasn't playing at all for no reason. That is on the coach. And you are going to enter a section of your franchise's history where you're going to be in transition. You are not going to have a championship expectation. You're going to need to rebuild this roster a little bit. That means some young players are going to have to play. That means some young players are going to have to be a part of your rotation. Is Coach Bud the guy you want to trust with that young rotation? I don't. I've seen all I need to see. And you know what? I will take the egg on my face of 4 coaches in 4 years because I just watched 2 NBA championship winning teams in the last 5 seasons fire their coach. 3, actually, if I remember the stat correctly. 3 of the last 5 NBA championship winning teams have fired their coach less than 2 seasons after they won a championship. Those teams are prioritizing excellence. They are not allowing their previous championship pedigree and winning a championship stop them from making a change if they feel like a change is necessary. So what's stopping you, Matt Ishbia? What is stopping the Phoenix Suns from making a change? You missed your expectations completely. You have a $400 million payroll, and you are not going to make the playoffs. You whiffed. If you won't make a change after that, the Denver Nuggets won the NBA championship 2 years ago. They fired Michael Malone. Why? Probably because he lost the room. Coach Bud's lost this room. I don't know if he ever had it because he's only been here for 1 season, but it doesn't exist. There is no culture. So if an NBA championship winning team from 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, can make a change because they think their coach has lost the room, what is your excuse for not doing the same?
Chris, do you think things, whether it's young players or veterans, will ever be better under Coach Bud?
I don't think that Coach Bud is the right guy to maximize Ryan Dunn, to maximize Oso Ighodaro, to maximize the young crop of players that are going to walk into this building either via the Kevin Durant trade or with the draft picks that this team acquires and uses in the NBA draft. No, I do not think that Coach Bud is the right guy to oversee that transition, but this is something I have said for a while now. And so if you are a regular listener of this program, this is going to sound probably like the 400th time that I've said this. It's not just about the next chapter for the Phoenix Suns, because at some point, you're going to want to win again. At some point, you're going to have a championship expectation on this team. Coach Bud failed when there was a championship expectation on him this season. So why is he going to get another swing at the bat? Why is he going to get to see this team through this transition and then be the guy trusted to lead this team to their first championship when this year he wasn't able to lead them to the playoffs? That's the problem I have with this. Even if you don't want to fire him right now because it's 4 coaches in 4 years, this is not the guy I want to see leading this team in the playoffs when they are ready to make a championship run 2 or 3 years down the road.
Then there's your answer. There is no holding on to the coach, because let me tell you something about 4 coaches in 4 years. Who cares? It's an embarrassment, sure, but do you know what's more of an embarrassment? To try to run this back and have this season come to fruition again and again and again. This has been a complete failure, and to not make changes is more embarrassing than the prospect of 4 coaches in 4 years.
Exactly. If this team tonight gets eliminated, officially gets eliminated tonight against Oklahoma City, and tomorrow, just like the Michael Malone news broke in the middle of the day, we get a report that after they're eliminated, the Phoenix Suns have decided to part ways with Mike Budenholzer. Would anybody be shocked by that news? Would anybody go on First Take or any of the ESPN talking head shows? Would any podcast or radio show across the country, here in this town, anywhere else, would anybody say the Suns made the wrong decision? It was the wrong decision to fire Coach Bud after a disappointing season where a $400 million team missed the playoffs. Nobody would say that. What they would say is, man, this is really tough, 4 coaches in 4 years. But that is more of an indictment of this entire era of Suns basketball than it is Coach Bud. And you know what? This era of Suns basketball is coming to an end because Kevin Durant is going to be someplace else next season. This roster is going to be vastly different next season. So I'm sorry, I am not going to allow 4 coaches in 4 years to stop me from making what is clearly the right decision for this basketball team and for its future.